Today's social media strategies in a shifting environment. I want to give you a little recap about it and then introduce you to our presenter. So, when used strategically, social media is a powerful tool to increase awareness, spur engagement, and build peer to peer influence. With so many platforms and more coming online each year, it can feel overwhelming to get started. Should you have a presence on Facebook, Instagram, X, LinkedIn, all the above? How often should you post? These are the type of strategies that we're going to explore in today's session. Very excited to talk to you about that. So what I'd like to do is introduce you to your presenter today. I am so excited. I have to say, Michelle, I read your bio a couple times. I was like, I need to know everything. With 30 years of experience in communications and adult education, including 12 years in human services, Michelle is also a central pillar of Michelle's approach involves harnessing the power of social media to enhance communication and deliver just-in-time learning opportunities. So with that, we want to say hello, welcome, and thank you for being with us, and feel free to take it away.
Hi, everyone. I am so excited to be with you today. So I really appreciate that you all filled out the survey as you were registering because it gave me a really good idea of who is in the room. And I would say to you, we only have an hour. I'll do a little bit of speed talking because of that. And with that survey results, about a third of you are brand new to social media. A third of you know enough to be dangerous, and a third of you believe you're experts. So hopefully I will have enough time to get to all of your questions. I'm going to go through the slides fairly quickly so that we have lots of Q&A time and I can show you around different platforms I use and whatever, is going to meet your needs. So with that, let's talk about choosing platforms. This was one of the big questions that came through in that registration form information. So we all know that social media is like wicked powerful, right? It increases awareness and engagement, builds influence through thought leadership. That really has become even more powerful with the use of hashtags now because people can find you, whereas before they had to know about you in order to follow you. So I'd say if you're choosing platforms, my general rule is that they have to meet all three of these criteria. It has to have a high impact on your priority audience. We're going to talk about the platforms in just a second and how to assess that. The capacity to post regular, relevant content. And I'm talking about long term. So if you've got an intern, that's not going to really do the job unless you have an ongoing intern with a passion for social media, and that you can monitor it daily. This is really just the requirement. So a lot of times I talk to people and they want to just do like 3 platforms right out of the gates. Like, whoa, let's bring it on back and see how you do with just the one. It's a lot to develop the content and schedule the content, get the images correctly sized for each channel. So really encourage you to take your time when you're thinking about that. And then the most important thing here is that we're all here to talk about social media from a business and an organizational perspective, which means that it has to meet the organizational goals. A lot of you ask, how do I get buy-in? The buy-in really comes down to performance. And so we'll talk a little bit about how you can measure that, but really understanding from the very beginning what your organization is wanting you to accomplish with the social media channels and platforms. So that's crucial. So then there was a lot of questions about which channel or which platform should I choose? So I think everybody knows that Facebook is really about just staying in touch with your family. So I think the most important thing here with Facebook is to understand that if you're trying to target employees, that Facebook can still work, but you really need to think about the times that you're posting, because not all employees want to go home and then see a message from their employer. So it really kind of depends on your audience with that one. The other thing we all know about Facebook is that the algorithms choose what it decides to show you. And so that can be a downside of Facebook as well. Um, you know, Instagram has the same algorithms, but it doesn't seem to be as intense. And so I've been able to access a lot more followers through Instagram than say Facebook. But so I think there's slightly different algorithms. Now, the great thing about LinkedIn is that it doesn't have algorithms. You get to see everything anybody posts. It's just, old school like that. And what I love also about LinkedIn is that it is meant for business. And so what happens is that if that's your target audience, you're meeting them where they want to meet you versus like maybe on their Facebook. Not everybody is down with having, like I don't have friends on Facebook that are coworkers. I just really want to keep my two worlds separate, but LinkedIn, I'm about all day. So with that, I really like LinkedIn, and it doesn't have as many algorithms, and I can access people. The other thing I really liked about LinkedIn, because I like to use social media for continuing education opportunities, that just in time learning. When my follower shares my LinkedIn post, now she's following it with a coworker or somebody who is doing the same kind of work as her, and that helps me grow my followers. So that is a huge benefit, and it's a thing that like I get the most amount of reshares on LinkedIn for the platforms that I support. Okay, now we've got Threads. Everybody knows that's brand new. One thing to know about Threads is if you open account with Thread, you open it through Instagram, but once you open it, you can't delete your Threads account without deleting your Instagram account. So I think that's caught a few people off guard. I don't know if they're going to change that. Maybe they already have. But last I heard, you couldn't delete your Threads once you synced it with Instagram. So be careful of that. And I think, Threads started off really strong and then went down 70% in the first month. So, that one's definitely one that you might want to sit back and wait on. Then you have X, formerly known as Twitter. It is extremely powerful to be, if you're really looking to be on the world stage for what you do, Twitter, their X, it is unparalleled with the hashtags and your ability to access people. So when you think about that, building influence through thought leadership, if you want to do that beyond your just local where you live, then X is something to consider. And then everybody loves TikTok. The one thing I would say to you is that there are rules. As a federal employee, you are not allowed to have TikTok in any of your devices. If you are working for an educational institution, you are not allowed to have it on a device that is in a research facility. So I'm going to share a handout. So you don't have to keep notes if you don't want to, but they've given you this beautiful note taker slide so you can use that if you'd like, but just know that I'm going to give you a handout with all this in it, and it links to the law about TikTok so that you can find out more information. But I think that's really at the crux of if you're going to choose the platform, like knowing that there are certain people that will not be able to access it. I think that's really important. And what I'd say to you is if you have questions going on, and feel free to type them in the chat, and then I can address them as I see them or once we get to the Q&A. So I want to make sure that you feel free to use the chat as much as you'd like. When you're choosing the platform, so there's new data that just came out, and if you guys could post the link to that report by Hootsuite, that would be great. And so you're going to love this report just because it really does have cutting edge information in it. And for those of you who are experts, this report really talks about how AI is going to impact social media, which is such an important conversation to have around getting to that we want to be authentic, and we also want to take advantage of, having less hours on social media. So I would definitely check that out. But in that report, I'll tell you that it says that most people are on 7 platforms a month. 7. Nobody has time to do 7 in their work unless that's all you get to do is social media, which if that's you, I'm impressed. Way to go. I think that's awesome. I'd love to have that, but I just squeeze this in. I do 4 channels, and I have 6 hours a week to do it. So I'm going to tell you a little bit about how I pull that off in just a minute. But with that said, the most popular platforms are Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn. The ones that have been most recently left in numbers has been X, a lot of it for political reasons, and then Pinterest. A lot of brands are walking away from Pinterest. Okay, now one of the questions in the survey was, well, how do I get to millennials and Gen Z? So they have 4 top picks: Instagram, LinkedIn, TikTok, and Snapchat. That's kind of where they are at. So that's where you'll find them. If you have any questions about choosing a platform, please put them in the chat, and I'm going to move on to the next piece here, which is about procuring content. So I mentioned a little bit earlier, but again, just make sure you're supporting your organizational goals and your communication strategy. What makes social media so powerful is that your website supports your email, and your email supports your social media, and your social media supports your newsletters, and all of those pieces together create traction with one another, right? So you're posting a link on social media to your website, and then you're talking about social media in your newsletter. All these things really are meant to work together to be a full picture of communication, a communication strategy. Okay, sorry, I just saw a question. I'll do my best. Why are sponsors walking away from Pinterest? So my understanding is that there's just not a return on investment. So that's often called ROI. And so they're not seeing enough clicks to make it worth going on to Pinterest. So I thought that was extremely interesting. And that is a brand new trend that has started to happen. So thank you so much, Lucy, for asking that question. So is there a handout? So that my handout does give some more information about that, about choosing platforms for generations. And then again, that Hootsuite social trends report that Haley posted, it goes in depth on which platforms to choose for which. So those are both really great resources. I'm also going to give you my contact information at the end. And if you had a specific question, you could always reach out for sure. Okay, so procuring content. Here's the thing about content. Less is more. Think radio copy, right? So I used to work in radio back in the day when I was young, and I always had to write down the content, and then I had to go back through it and pull all the different words in order to make sure that I was going to make the 15-second cut or the 30-second cut or whatever, however short the commercial is. And that's really kind of what you want to do with your social media. So one of my tips, if you're using X, is to start to write for that character count, because then that will streamline your content for Facebook and LinkedIn. I've noticed if I write Facebook, it's always way longer. And then I get to Twitter and I go, oh yeah, I have to shimmy this down. And then I think to myself, oh, I wish I would have done that first. So that's one of my tips, is that if you're on X and you're limited to your count for characters, start there and then go to your other channels. But the content needs to be compelling, conversational, authentic, valuable, relevant, and, as I just mentioned, but I'm going to say it again, brief. Those are really critical pieces. So like, I see this happen all the time where people are like, here's the report that I found out. And this, check it out. Okay, that's boring. Like, hey, we just learned that Snapchat is a top social media platform for Gen Z. Check out the data here and include a relevant visual. So really talking to them as like your friend and that you're being authentic, and really think about when you're writing the content, like what what is the with them? What's in it for them? Not what's in it for your organization or your business, but how can I write this to be compelling to the person that I'm speaking to? And so I would say those are all really important things. Um, the other thing about choosing platforms is that for each platform, you have to size your visuals. So when you're thinking about what do I have the bandwidth to do effectively and efficiently, you really have to consider, right? Like if you're going to post a visual to X, you have to resize it for Facebook and LinkedIn. Instagram is a square. So really take that into consideration as you're choosing your platforms if you're going to go with more than one. And then I mentioned copyright in the survey for the registration. Here's the thing about copyright. I always thought this was so complicated. It really isn't. Bottom line is, if you didn't create it, you owe attribution. That's as simple as it gets. I mean, the only time that you don't have to do that is if you're in, say, PowerPoint and you grabbed an image out of their images, then certainly you can do that, right? If it's based in a platform. But if you go on the web and grab an image, you got to give attribution. And there are so many wonderful websites now where you can get beautiful, modern, inclusive visuals, but just make sure you read the fine print. You need to know what you're allowed to do with it and what you're not allowed to do with it. So just make sure that you're paying attention to that so you don't get flagged. And then one of the other things I would like to say is just social media follows the 30-60-10 rule. It doesn't have to be exact. I'm not expecting you to do math here. Like nobody wants to do math. But 30% of the content should be content you create. And about 60% is curated by others. So what do I mean by that? Okay, you all for your work are looking and learning all the time. Somebody said YouTube, some people learn on LinkedIn. Wherever you're at and you think, oh man, this would be incredible for my audience, this would really resonate with them. That's curated content. And so you want to offer that to them with your commentary or a point of view, like, hey, I just read this. I think you'll find it interesting, or some piece to that. But when you're doing that curated content, you still have to keep your audience in mind. What is their interest and what do they want to receive from you? And then 10% is like a call to action. So attend my webinar, download this report, and they know that when they get there, they have to put in all their information to download the report. So that's a call to action, to do something. Again, it's not hard and fast. It's just in general, the top number one complaint about platforms is when organizations on platforms is when they do too much self-promotion. So you really need to blend the content there and make sure that you're showcasing, if you're in child welfare, all the different amazing products that are out there to support the workforce in child welfare, for example. What else can you show them that brings it to their attention? It just makes it so that you come across, as your agency comes across, as authentic and really believing in supporting the end user to the best that you can, which involves including content that isn't necessarily yours. Okay, any questions about procuring content, just drop them in the box, and I'll chat back with you, or I will answer your question live. And while I wait for those to roll in, if there are any, scheduling content. Okay, this is a big one right here. one of the biggest time sucks that you'll have with doing social media is if you try to schedule your content on the day that it's going live. That is like a big no-no. I'll answer your question in just a minute, Ms. Powell. Give me just a second. So the big thing is that you really need a tool in order to schedule your content. And so one of the things that I do is in an Excel sheet, it says, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and it's all the weeks. And I schedule all the content out. That allows me to ensure that I'm not talking about one topic too much, and there's a variety of content, and then it's aligning with all of our key messages and goals. It's also a great way to get staff involved, because then they can say, hey, I'm offering this webinar in February. Would you mind putting that in the editorial calendar to get promoted? So it allows you to have some of that support from other staff, because you don't want this to be like, I don't want Michelle's Facebook, right? I want whatever my organization is. The organization I've been supporting for the longest time is the National Child Welfare Workforce Institute. I've been doing their social media for almost 13 years now. And it's really important to kind of just keep track of that and make sure that you know what you're promoting. So I mentioned this tip a little bit earlier, but writing the content for the platform with the most limited characters. So that in that case, it was X. And I really recommend that you get content approved by somebody else. I don't know how many times. So my coworker, Sharon Kolar, she sees things with a different lens than I do because we have different backgrounds. And so she's raised flags on things I was like, that didn't even cross my mind. And so she's really fantastic at taking a look at content and saying, okay, that works or that doesn't work. And then scheduling efficiently for optimal timing and frequency. Like if you try to schedule on the daily, there's going to be days where you miss for sure. It just happens. Your day goes bonkers, and then you can't keep up. So I like to use Hootsuite. If you want to take a look at the platform, I'm happy to show it to you during the Q&A time. But that is the tool that is my go-to. So I can schedule the 2 posts I do each day on Facebook and LinkedIn. I do 1 on Instagram for NCWE, and then I do, I think 8 on Twitter, X. So that's just too much to try to do. And it ensures that you get it all done, right? Like whatever day you choose to input all of that, then it's done for the week. And then what I do, because here's the thing, I have lots of other work that I have to do. I'm sure you're in the same boat as me. And so if I allow myself to, I could spend all day on social media. I mean, you know how it is. You can get on your phone and you're checking a meeting time, and then all of a sudden, oh, I got a text, and oh, I wonder what that is. And I look that up on the internet, and then, 20 minutes are gone. So what I do is I set 15 minutes a day for myself to check on the content, make sure that it posted correctly, make sure that I'm responding to people's questions. And so that I think is really important. And here's the other thing. So I told you, I mentioned Sharon, I have her review the content because she's higher level than me and has a social work degree, which I do not have. So that's really helpful. But I have another staff member that's lower level than me. And what they're simply asked to do is just check for misspellings, broken links. We do a self-care Sunday post every Sunday. And when you're scheduling a whole week, you can schedule it for Saturday instead of Sunday. So those little things will get caught. Or if the image is not sized correctly, I accidentally put Twitter's image in the Facebook. All those little things can get sorted out. And that only takes an hour a week. So if you schedule them all, if your staff member is quick and strong, and that's with 4 platforms. So just to be clear, like it can be done in a very short amount of time, but you just need other people's eyeballs. You won't see that period that's missing. You won't see that misspelling, and they'll see it with fresh eyes. As far as what platform is best to reach workers and the general public, well, that's very big audience. That's a very big audience. What I would say to you, if you're trying to reach workers, LinkedIn is by far the most popular. It's where most people are. If you want to go look for a job, you really have to be on LinkedIn nowadays to even keep up with all the applications that you need to do. And it is meant for business. So that makes sense that your workers would get access to information there. As far as the general public goes, so if I'm talking about a little bit of an older generation, then Facebook is always a safe platform to go with. If you want to, or Instagram, one of those two. If I was only picking one, that's what I would do. If you have different opinions, you're all experts on the phone. Certainly chime in and share your opinion about what you think is the very best platform. We all have different experiences, and so certainly chat back on that. Okay, so that's the key about scheduling content. Find a platform. There's lots of them out there that you can schedule your content, because it will just ensure that you're always aligned, that there's content, and that you're posting on the regular, which is really so crucial to your success. You have to be posting on a regular basis. Okay, so that comes down to tools. Okay, I mentioned my favorite. These are all my favorites. Now the good news is, in the handout that I'm providing, I don't think we've provided a link to that yet. So if my team can put that in there, that would be great. In the chat, you'll have a link to the handout. Thank you so much. That has all of kind of my go-tos. These are all ones that are affordable or free. Okay, because that is really, I work for a nonprofit, I don't have a lot of money. I am in essence a team of one. I got to get things done. So Hootsuite allows me to schedule everything. I can share it with my team members and they can proof it for me. Canva, I would love to show you Canva. Let's see here. I'm just trying to see if our emojis are, but raise your hand if you have heard of Canva. Okay, I'm just kind of checking and seeing. Oh man, there's a good amount of you. Okay, great. That is fantastic. So most of you have already seen this, but Canva is so easy to use. It lets you look like you're a graphic designer, and it has popular formats for you. You can use it for absolutely free, which just blows my mind. It's totally bonkers. But what I would say to you, and it totally is, it's going to be efficient, the free version, unless you've got four platforms like I do. I don't have the time to resize all these images. So if you get Canva Pro, and there are discounts for nonprofits, so look into those if you're going to go Canva Pro. But Canva Pro is gorgeous because you just hit resize and you tell it what platform you're going to use it on, and it will automatically resize it. It's so fabulous. Yes, you can get a free account with your educational agency as well. So, I mean, it's absolutely incredible. I really, Adobe is also coming up and along, but it's not free. And then Canva provides all these images that you can automatically use. Obviously, the Pro, you get access to more images, but they still give you a healthy amount. So I would say definitely try that. Lydia, that's good advice. You have to have your nonprofit tax ID. And there is a little bit of an application process, and it takes a smidge of time, but you can go forward with the free version and then they can upgrade your account once you go through that process. Snagit, again, is just Snagit. So show of hands, how many people know about Snagit? How many people use Snagit? That's what I want to ask. How many people use Snagit? Just show of hands. Okay. Well, if you're interested, I will show that to you because we only have one person that has their hand raised. Snagit is gorgeous because it can grab an image from something that's already been created and then you can repurpose it on social media. So if you want me to show that tool, definitely make a mention of it. Okay, another thing that I see that happens, and there's downsides, so let's talk about it. It doesn't have to be Bitly. There's other groups that do shortened hyperlinks. But when you put a long link, if it breaks over 2 lines, if it's so long that it breaks, sometimes people can't get access. Okay, the downside is that some organizations that are really strict will block a Bitly link. I don't know why they would do that, but anyways, so it depends on your organization. So please be mindful of that. But the other thing is that again, Bitly is 100% free, and it does all the tracking for you. So you can say, okay, I know you wanted me to disseminate that research finding, and we had 562 people that downloaded the report or looked at the report. It's just a simple, easy way to get content data. So love that. Okay. Vyond. Show of hands. Who's using Vyond? Jessica's using it. One other. Okay. Well, let me know if you want me to show this one. Vyond allows you to create animated videos within minutes. It is bonkers. And that's with its new AI. You can literally say, make me a video about XYZ, and it will design the video for you, and then you can change out the characters or the words or whatever it gets wrong. But it kind of gives you, with AI, it just gives you an outline to start with so that you're not spending all that time trying to get your outline done, right? Like it gives you a starter place. And so Vyond can be used for social media. It can be used for training. I love to use it as like little reminders about things that people have already learned, like, right, just like reinforcing the learning. So that's another great use. You can use it to teach customers how to do something. You can use it to help with employee morale. I mean, there's so many things. Okay. So that is a great one. Okay, so Josephine, I see you want to see Bitly. That's totally cool. We'll do that. Okay, and then the big question: Vimeo versus YouTube. Okay, this is such a tough deal because everybody who wants to learn if I drop my ring in the sink and I need to figure out how to open the sink so that I can get my ring out of the trap, I go to YouTube. That's just where I go, right? And so that is the upside of YouTube. The very big downside to YouTube is that it is blocked by most organizations. So they could see it if they were on their devices from at home, but a lot of organizations block YouTube. The other big negative, and it's why NCWI, the National Child Welfare Workforce Institute, chose Vimeo, is because if you want to update a YouTube video, you can't. So then you have to create a link that then sends them to your new version of the video, which is a total nightmare. And Vimeo, you can just upload a new version. And for those of us that are doing like human services, rules change, all that stuff changes. Or say you found an error after you launched it, you can fix it really quickly. And it will still have the same link and everything. And so for those people who bookmark it or whatever, it's going to remain the same. You don't have to say, hey, the link changed, all of that stuff. So I would say to you, really think about which is going to be blocked. Now, Vimeo gets blocked as well. My personal experience in the last 12 and a half years with human services, specifically child welfare, has been that YouTube is more blocked by more organizations than Vimeo. But you'll have to test that out yourself. And if anybody's on here and has had a different experience, please weigh in. Yes, you can create a channel on Vimeo, and you can also create showcases on Vimeo. So like if you have a series about adaptive leadership, then you can put all of those together, which is fantastic. Or you hosted an event and there were multiple videos that you showed and people wanted to have access, you can put them all into that. So it's awesome. There is a cost associated with Vimeo, and that is the downside to using it versus YouTube, because YouTube is free. So it's just kind of weighing those pluses and minuses and trying to figure out that piece about what's going to work best. Okay. Okay. Let's see here. All right. Any questions about the right tools? Again, you got the link to the handout. It gives you all of those juicy details. And again, I'm going to, let you know if I'll give you my email information so you can reach out to me if that is helpful to you. Okay. All right. I'm going to keep moving because I want to leave time for Q&A. See here. Yep. We only have 19 minutes left. It's going by quick. I hope you guys are all getting information that is helpful. Okay. Views and engagement. These are the keys to views and engagement. Okay. Content is king. Speak to the audience. Write it clear, succinct, be authentic, but that is really the crux. The writing, it's good to procure content, but that writing of how you're going to say it is really important. So really pay attention to that. I have not found that different audiences go to YouTube and Vimeo. So I just wanted to answer that question really quickly. I think it just depends. But if their work uses YouTube, then they go to YouTube, and if their work uses Vimeo, they go to Vimeo. And it really depends on their age and what their jam is. So that one's kind of a toss up. Okay, we mentioned using eye-catching graphics and videos. That really is important to make sure that's happening. And then one of the things I found the most is that ask your followers to share, like, and comment it, even if it's just hashtag please share. Then what I've noticed is that in its own self gets people to share, like, and comment. So that increases engagement 100%. Use attention grabbing words. So that's kind of back to that content is king, but like, do you want to start with a question? Do you want to be like, don't miss this, whatever it is, like, what can you do to grab their attention? Okay, another really important point for engagement is to tag people and organizations, because what happens is then they like it or they share it, and now you have access to the people, their network. It increases your network exponentially. And if you want to have impact, that is definitely one way to do that. So I say definitely tag people and organizations. They always love when you share their content, and it helps you get access to their viewers and followers. Use hashtags and emojis. Hashtags, I'm assuming everybody knows the hashtags, but that's like the way that you find content. So like hashtag, I'll just, let's see here. I'll put it in to everyone, like hashtag child welfare. And feel free to put in your hashtags. What hashtags are really important to your audiences? But what that will do is it will allow audiences to find you. And that is really important for increasing views and engagements. Doing something that helps them find you. And then as far as emojis go, people just love that stuff. And so you'll get more likes and shares and comments when you post emojis. Don't overdo it though. The handout tells you exactly how many hashtags are appropriate for each channel and how many emojis to use. So don't go too crazy on that. Okay, is there a cheat sheet on how to tag? Okay, so the pound sign is the start of a hashtag. So that's like hashtag, oh, sorry, I accidentally went, don't look, no, just kidding. A hashtag, which is the pound sign, that is like a keyword. It would be like what you would put in Bing or Google when you're searching something, right? But you're just using the hashtag to do that. You can do hashtag child welfare in all lowercase, but a lot of people like to do the capitals so that it's a little bit more visually easy to see the difference in the words when you're on an iPhone. So that's my philosophy. But you find your audience and what they're finding. The at, that is you're tagging a person. So if you said at Michelle Clinch, then you're tagging me and my followers. And if you say at Caltrin, you're tagging the organization Caltrin, and then you are getting access to their followers. See how that works? So a pound sign, you're using basically a keyword is another way to say that. And the at sign is I'm tagging somebody specific. Okay. You should interact with reposts. So I mentioned LinkedIn has a lot of reposts that takes up a few minutes of my 15-minute window every morning, is just making sure that you said thank you, thank you that you've liked the repost. And again, that increases your engagement and increase your access to their audience. A hashtag is not letter sensitive. So Lucy, it's just meant to, like I said, in child welfare, I capitalize C and I capitalize W just so that visually somebody can see that it's hashtag child welfare a little bit easier if they're on their tiny iPhone or their Android. But it doesn't matter. However you put it in, it's still the same hashtag. Okay. Post when your audience is online. And the beautiful thing about Hootsuite and products like that is that when you go to schedule your posts, it tells you when your audience is online. It's like beautiful that you just say, tell me what the best time windows are, and you pick one and it posts it when they're there. That's really just awesome. One thing you do want to consider, and I said this a little bit earlier, so I'm just bringing it back to you, is consider who your audience is, what platform you're on. If you're on Facebook and you're talking to employees, 6 p.m. window might be the best, but do they really want to see something about work at 6 p.m.? So just kind of think about that. Make sure you respond to comments. That's in that 15-minute window in the morning as well. I have alerts on my phone so I can deal with things that need to be escalated and dealt with right away. But even it's just to say thank you for sharing your opinion. We appreciate it. You got to say something. And then invite those who engaged with your post to follow you. So that's mainly a Facebook one, and I can show that to you on how to do that. So it's really super simple, but I'm sure there's other ways to invite those who engage with your post to follow you. So you can write them a note or whatever. That is very time consuming though, but the Facebook approach is super duper easy. Okay, so if you want me to show you how to do that on Facebook, just holler in the chat and I will show that. Okay. This goes back to getting buy-in. Yet you have to track the data because you're doing it for business. then you have to make sure it makes business sense and that your return on investment, right? So you want to look at the data. I do it quarterly, and because it takes about 2 hours to kind of put everything together for 4 platforms. I'm efficient at it, so it will take you a little bit longer, but you'll get it down. But you need to be looking at what content was most popular, what images were most popular, what time on a certain platform was the most engaged with. And by doing quarterly reports, you're going to be able to show supervisors and leaders that this is working, this is worth the time. You know, it's easy to say, hey, Facebook's having impact. But when I said to Nick, we had 1.4 million impressions this year. They were like, okay, like that's a lot. Like we basically don't do anything in 6 hours a week that creates that much engagement with our audience. So that has always really helped. It also helps to gain champions when you can say to somebody, hey, like I posted that webinar you asked for, and please keep doing that for me because, you know, we had 64 clicks through to your registration page. That gains champions. It gets people engaged and wanting to give you more content. And again, you don't want the content to be Michelle's Facebook page, but Caltrans Facebook page. How do you make that happen? What happens there? And so you can increase their engagement, and it shows them why it's important. And then you'll also use the data to adjust your strategy. How do you need to write things to get engagement? All those different pieces. So bare minimum for each quarter, I recommend that you track your followers, your impressions. Okay, so followers are the number of people that said, I follow you, but you get more than that. Okay, thank you for my 10-minute wording. I will start to speed talk now. Impressions is how many eyeballs saw the content, and that is total. So, you know, somebody might have seen your post 3 times, depending if they got on the platform multiple times. So that will include that. And engagement is like, shares, all the things. Okay. And then I recommend as a bonus that you show the totals and average by day. You know, when you break something down by the day and you say, yeah, we have 2,000 click throughs to our website a day, that gets people's attention. Okay, so that is a great way to keep them calling. Okay, here's my information. The team can also put that in the chat because now what I'm going to do is I am going to, let's see here. I am going to escape out of here so you're seeing behind the scenes. Okay, so this is the report that I sent you, or that's one of the first links we provided, and you'll see it talks all about AI, the data, and how it's impacting and how people are using AI. I think it's really easy to be like, oh yeah, AI, but how do you use it? So anyways, I encourage you to check this out, especially for those of you who are experts on here. I'm not sure how much content you've gotten that's really valuable, and I want to make sure you come away with something that helps. Okay, let's start with Hootsuite. So Hootsuite, basically, here is your home page. You would click into streams, and you can create the streams that you want. You can see that today is actually my day to schedule content. But so each column shows you, this is Twitter, LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram. So it gives you a good visual indicator. And then you can set up other rows like my tweets or mentions. So every time, like, so today, Caltrans mentioned the National Child Welfare Workforce Institute, who I work for. So now I can like that. And so it makes it much simpler to do all of that engagement with people. So here's Center for States shared our recruitment toolkit. I'm going to like that. Okay, so those are all great things. And then here's one that I curated for child welfare, hashtag child welfare. So I can see like what's happening in my field. Like, what are people talking about? What, you know, and it's just one place to go look. So it's super easy. You compose it. And like I mentioned, let's say we're going to do Instagram, and you can schedule for later. You click this button and it says the recommended time is 3 p.m. for today. So, and I can go, like, let's say it was Monday, the 25th. It says, okay, pick 1 p.m. So these are the top two, but 5 p.m. is the most popular. That's a little bit darker one. Okay, so it just puts everything in one place. Super easy. I highly recommend it. Canva. Oh my gosh, so beautiful. Everything here is just wonderful. Plus, you can create anything. You can create handouts, you can create PowerPoint slides, just super easy. You can even see, like, I created my presentation in here. Again, this is all free, but say I wanted to take this one pager image that I've created for Instagram. It's completely square. I have the Pro, I hit magic switch, and then I can scroll down and say, okay, I want to resize it for social media. I want to do it for an Instagram story ad. I click here and I hit continue. And I say copy and resize. You can't just resize this design, but then you're going to have to constantly do it over and over again. So definitely keep your Canva organized. But then it says open your story. It's resized it perfectly. And now I just need to go in here and move some stuff around to make it work in this place. So I might take this headline and go like this, and you can kind of just sort things out. But it makes you look like a genius. And then there's all these beautiful designs that are already here for you to do. Super fantastic, and will make you look like you're a pro. Okay, what else did I say? I said Bitly. Bitly is super easy. You just need to have an account, and then you can build it into your bar. So you create a free account. I got all these cookies in here. I didn't anticipate showing this one, so just bear with me here. Okay, so now I've got all of my data here in one place, and I can take a look at anything. So if I go to my links, I can see this one got 2 engagements, this one got 22 engagements, and now I have all this data at my fingertips without having to call the website guy. So it's a great tool to have. And once you build it into your bar, which is just a little add-on feature, then you can take anything and this is a link I want to share. You hit the little B button and I say create the link so you can see how long the URL is. And then there it is, and I hit copy and use it. It's gorgeous. Okay, what else did I promise to share? I got to go back to the chat here. Okay, so we showed Hootsuite. No, Hootsuite is not free. Canva is free. So you do have to use a little bit of money. But what I would say to your leadership team is this is barely any money to make sure that we're efficient and effective and that we're not wasting our time. Oh, the AI video creating tool. That's right, Beyond. Okay, let's see if we can pull that up really quickly. I'm over, Caltran, I'm sorry. We're just going to show this one, and then I'm going to hand it back over to you. Okay, well, it's not the one I want to use. So this creates videos. I have not shared my audio with you, but you can see that I was able to create. So you can create with AI. You can say, literally, you can say, create a video. There's 5 workplace hacks, and then you know it's already in there. Let's just use that one. That must have been one that that was the idea. Okay, 5 workplace trends, and then you hit enter, and you say create the video, and it literally creates the video for you within minutes. It's super bonkers. This also costs money, but you can get discounts depending on what kind of organization you are. But this is so quick and easy. So let's see what we get here. It's kind of pulling up. So this is the quick edit where you can change how it's broken out, the content on each screen. Let's see here. You can see the movement. And then you can change out all the characters. You can hit this lady and go change her out. It's absolutely brilliant. I really hope you'll try it out if you want to do animated video and you don't want to pay people a fortune to do that. Okay, so back to the PowerPoint. Let's see here. Thank you so much, Caltrin, for letting me attend and join today. I am on the wrong slide. Let me swap that. Okay, there you go.
Great. We just want to say on behalf of our participants today, on behalf of Caltrin, thank you so much for your presentation. I know there were a lot of questions that you got in the chat, so thank you for addressing those. And of course, to our participants, thank you so much for being here with us. We are going to drop a link for you to have access to your certificate of attendance. You will complete a brief survey to have access to that, and then you can watch your inbox for a replay as well as some resources that were recommended. So thank you all so much and have a wonderful rest of your day, everyone.